GloryDaze, the best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
With InsureMyVan.ie, the van insurance specialists. See how much you can save at InsureMyVan.ie.
Oh, yeah. You see, when you join in and we're in the middle of laughing...
Oh, yeah, sorry, in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, it means you're late. No, it doesn't. It means that...
It means I've been talking shit and Jim has decided to capture it for future blackmail. Yeah.
Because we just... look, okay, I'm going to fess up, right? We were in the middle of a conversation there about, was there something, to include in the podcast that we say, maybe we wouldn't be able
but he
to
tricks
use
me.
in the show.
He tricks me. What he does is he goes, hey, cock wank whatever, and I go, what? And then he hits record and I go, cock wank whatever, and he's got me saying it on tape. And not him. He's very crafty like that,
Yeah, but anyway, we've decided that will be the name of PJ's next tour, by the way, when he tours again.
Welcome to the stage with his new show, Cock Wank Whatever. That should be our double act. Mr. Cock and Wank. They will be talking about whatever comes across their mind.
That's actually
That's
very
the new
good.
name of this podcast.
If that was the
Cock Wank Whatever with Jim and PJ.
If that was the kind of like so the artist's name is Cock and Wank.
Yeah.
And then whatever is the name of the tour.
Whatever you want.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Audience participation is welcome. Just please keep on your trousers. It's not that type of show.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go.
You did once have a tour called Dickhead.
Yeah, Dickhead was my last stand-up tour.
Was
called Dickhead.
Very weird because we struggled. Well, I struggled to promote it when we were doing the radio show.
Lots did. I enjoyed that part of it the most.
Like because you couldn't normally just make sure you check it out. You can look at it, find out when it's on. All the dates, just look it up. PJ Gallagher.
Oh, it was great.
And you'd normally give the name of the tour.
Yeah. So the best thing was some people handled it like Miriam O'Callaghan and all.
Yeah.
You do an interview saying you're back on tour. Yeah, and your tour, what's it called again? And I'd go, Dickhead. So that was their way of getting out of not saying it. You know, they get you to say it. So the sort of thing.
By the way, was it a deliberate thing
And what's the show about? Well, basically you say, Miriam, I am a dickhead, and this is about the experiences of 12 months of being.
Gotcha. Because I was just going to say, the way most times when you're talking about a comedy tour, it's the name of the artist, then the tour. So you were saying, so it might be, Neil Delamere, Neil by Mouth, or whatever.
Yeah, he does great
Jason
names.
Byrne,
Cream Delamere and all.
Or whatever, and all that, right? Whereas, so you would have ended up with PJ Gallagher, Dickhead,
and a big picture of me face, and it was everywhere.
It was almost like you were like inviting kind of
I would definitely
abuse. PJ Gallagher, Dickhead. I beg your pardon?
And I would go,
no, it's the name of his tour.
Yeah, and people say to me, you're such a dickhead, and I go, yes I am. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ie right now.
What, you assumed
for
it was
a small
like
service charge of €150.
You assumed it was some sort of guerrilla marketing, did you? That people shouting at you, hey, dickhead! Thank you very much. Hope you bought your tickets.
Thursday night, Vicar Street. Don't miss out. Still some tickets in the balcony available.
So good. Mind you, it's a shame, actually.
And now they'll be going, hey, cock wank. And they'll be, yes, absolutely. New podcast live tour with Jim McCabe.
Yeah, he's not with me at the moment, but we'll be.
Yeah, Mr. Cockwank isn't here now. But if you pay...
Our show back. Just cock, thank you.
Yeah. Just a cock today, but Mr. Wank will be with you momentarily. Please put your hands together.
Wow, what a show! What a show! It's actually, it's in some ways, it's kind of nearly a shame that you've left this kind of stand-up touring behind.
Yeah.
You do one-off shows or whatever, but you don't really do the tour thing anymore.
No,
because you don't have time now that you're an award-winning actor or an award-winning author.
I'm not though. I haven't won anything.
Award nominated.
A nominee. I haven't won anything.
Look, it's in the bag. Buddy.
No, it isn't. There's more chance of me being the first Irishman on the moon than there is of winning this. I'm up against Tony Holohan and all. I went to
What's Tony Hologram going to say that you haven't said in your book?
He's literally ran the country through COVID and he's got a lifetime of a professional history. Okay,
all very well.
He turned up last night. It was gas last night. Right? We were at the book nominations announcements. The shortlist, and it shows you how brilliant, I don't even know how to say what the event was, so that'll tell you how
little
I get
ladies and gentlemen, just proves how good his book is.
Yeah. Basically, Mr. Cock over here going, and then there was the time about the thing. So there's no chance of winning it. But I turned up last night and it was lashing rain and I had wet patches all over me and all. I was in the fake Canada Goose and everything. And I turned up and then Tony Holohan shows up, right? full black tie, and his missus in a gown.
Wow.
The two of them were like,
How the other half.
it was like watching Dynasty, but I think, to be honest, you know what I think happened? I think he got mixed up with the nights. So, because the event when you do the awards is actually black tie.
Yeah.
So I think he says to his, his new partner.
It's the awards night.
I think he said, yeah, it's black tie and the whole. I'd say she must have nearly killed him after, because they
See,
it really did look like he was turning up to go, thank you for the awards. I'll just dress for it now. And I'm sure that's not the case.
No.
Yeah.
But, and the thing about it is, by the way, normally people would probably expect me to jump in here and sort of say, are you sure you didn't get it wrong, PJ? But I can verify that PJ didn't get it wrong.
No, he didn't.
He was completely in the right, based on the fact there was another bloke there who had a zoo t-shirt on.
Yeah, fella with a zoo t-shirt.
I mean, an actual, his work clothes from the zoo.
Literally just fed the pandas.
And he was nominated.
Yeah. He's still there. A bunch of bit of lump of monkey poo in his pocket. Yeah, I forgot to drop that into the samples, but I'll do it tomorrow, sort of thing.
Oh, please tell me that him and Tony Hologram had a conversation.
Isn't that brilliant? Yeah. Zoo lad, Zoolander. I'm gonna call him
Zoolander.
Yeah, I gotta call him. He's a lovely fella, that man. Oh my God,
whatever his real name is.
Jerry, and he was there, and then there was me, and then there was the woman. There was another woman. Yes. And she's brilliant. And she was there.
Oh, that woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was her book about?
That's the thing. It's such a secret. She decided to remain anonymous. And then there was Tony and the whole lot. And the rest of us we all looked like we were dressed more or less the same. And Tony was all dressed in his black tie and the
in
whole
his
lot.
finery.
I have to say though, I'm getting into these events. I'm getting into them. I love free shit. You turn up and you're swanned into a place and people have to pretend they're interested in you, and they give you Budweiser. I did feel like a bit of a knob. I went in early, I went in and I was there
just to get extra free
stuff.
Yeah,
I was there with one Budweiser sticking out of my pocket. You know the way.
Budweiser.
Trying to put the flat.
What sort of a lowbrow affair was this?
I know. And then I was with one in my pocket, one in my hand, and then you meet Tony Houlihan, who's holding a glass of champagne, and he's in black tie.
Naturally.
He drinks. But people were having champagne. It was a very nice setup.
Yeah.
It's great,
Would it be a book do? Was it a very arty crowd? Was there anybody in tweed jackets with leather patches on their elbows?
No, it was really laid back. And I was expecting
that. Are you sure it wasn't a comic convention?
I know.
What are you talking about?
And I was expecting that. I was absolutely expecting lads with pipes blowing bubbles out of them. Writing's gone to pot since you can't smoke indoors. But it was actually great. It was good crack. Yeah.
And it's interesting now that you have the association with the books, because for a couple of years you used to be a regular. No, I've made all those gags about you not being and colouring in and everything. But for
it's a pop-up book.
For a couple of years you used to be associated.
A giant like Jim McCabe pops out in the middle of it. Sorry.
You used to be associated with the Doggy Book Festival.
Yes.
You used to do regular stints on that.
I did,
even before you were an author.
Oh, long before, yeah. I did some stand-up on it, and I hosted a political talk, and then, believe it or not, I did.
That is the one I want.
Isn't that mad?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
there's a solution.
I was never asked back again.
What?
I was actually never asked back again.
Why is there stuff? How can the tragedy and horribleness that's happening in the Middle East and the trauma of the conflict in Ukraine and with Russia and how can that be happening when you are here?
I know.
Giving your political.
I mean, if anyone's going to really understand and articulate the nuances of war, I think it's definitely me.
Definitely.
Yeah. I can't 100%. Think of who else would you ask to participate in such a thing.
Yeah, wow. You mediated
me and
or moderated.
Snoop Dogg are about the two most appropriate people to do it.
You moderated a political discussion.
I did, yeah.
May I venture to ask, what style of what area of politics were you dealing in?
The rise of right-wing politics in the United States.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
In the United States, a place that you've been on holiday once or twice.
Yes.
Oh.
Excuse me. Are you saying my experience watching me elf fall over in Disneyland doesn't qualify me
your political views?
To have some sort of outside and completely non-influential comment to make that it would be valuable in the consequence of war.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. What a contribution it must have been.
What a contribution it was, yeah. So much of a contribution I was literally never asked back.
When you win this book award, right? Are you going to let it change you when you win the book? Because
yes,
So far,
no doubt about it.
You haven't let anything change you, really. You know, you had your stand-up success, you had your television fame, you've had, all that sort of stuff. You've done acting, you've done whatever, and it hasn't really changed you.
Yes.
But, authors are different. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
They do. Like, unless you've written, I don't know. Although, having said that, I mean, there's all sorts of authors now.
Oh, there is,
I mean, the biggest cop-out of all, and apologies in case this gets back to any of the people who happen to be friends of ours, right, but that fall into this category. The chancers who write kids' books.
But there's there's a lot of kids' books out there.
I mean, there's a lot of them.
I'll tell you, I understand.
And I'm jealous that we didn't think of it sooner.
Some kids' books, Jim, are absolutely brilliant, right?
Oh, yeah. The ones for sort of teenagers.
Yeah, and then
not the ones where there's no words and just a picture.
I have a book for me kids at home, right? It's called Where's the Dog? And you flick through the pages and then you open up a flap and the first one's a duck underneath it, and the second one's a cow, and the third one is a cat or whatever. And the last page, you lift it up.
Excuse me, spoiler alerts.
Yeah, I know, but this is the last page.
What if somebody hasn't read that book now?
Yeah, all I'm saying is...
You have to ruin it.
I did ruin it. I ruined it on all the children. And you know what? Don't buy it. It's a fucking cop-out. Even I knew halfway through the book where the dog was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
not like there was a twist in the tale, so to speak.
It's the shittest whodunit ever.
And I'll tell you something else, by the way, Jim, I'm upset about, right? It took me fucking years to write that book, right? I had a mental breakdown in the middle of the process. And I'm not even messing, right?
Yeah.
And then I got there last night. Biographies, fiction, factual, whatever they call that one. Documentarianisms, right? True crime, all these things, fictional crime, fantasy, all these. And I will say I was quite insulted to be standing next to people who wrote cooking books. I mean, you can fuck off. If you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
Listing out a bunch of things you put into your food. You might be very good at the food, but that does not make you an author. Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're
Instructions are not a creative process.
Now put the chips into the pan.
Exactly. That does not require author skills.
Much like Where is the Dog? Unless the dish is not finished at the end, it's not. There's no suspense to this story.
Nobody turns around and goes, who's writing the shopping list this week? You know what I mean? Oh, mammy, will you do the shopping? Because the way you have with words when it comes to the shopping list is, I couldn't do it now. I just don't have your turn of phrase when it comes to having to go to Tesco's.
Oh my God!
So you're right. I agree with you. I'm sorry, and that also falls into if you're going to claim that you've written a book and what you wrote on the page was, Toby wonders where the penguin has gone.
Yeah. All I'm saying is the happy pair don't belong in the same room, right? As Jeffrey Archer.
Or you. Or you.
Or me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some people suffered for their art.
Yeah, I did. I suffered from my art. I had a stupid life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Christ,
I wish I said that. I'd love if that's one of those things. Wouldn't you?
You should do that in your acceptance speech.
Imagine, yeah. There's a lot of people I want to thank here tonight. A lot of people from my family, my friends, my workmates that deserve a lot of thanks. But first of all, I would like to say that the following people are fuckers. Cooking book people.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Small children's writers.
Go shite yourself. People who pass off haunted house stories as true stories. Go take a shit in your shoes.
Well said.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
Imagine being that arrogant.
Yeah.
Imagine it. And then next year coming out with your own cooking book because nobody wants. Because you've nothing left.
The one thing I will say in relation to having a go at the people who claim they've written children's books, and they're literally like 3 words on a page and a stupid picture.
Where's the dog?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the dog?
Exactly that. What I would say is I would dearly love to be at the actual award ceremony, and when one of them wins, that they walk off and go, I am happy. In their acceptance
speech. Oh my God, that's brilliant, yeah.
I am happy. Where is the trophy?
Once my mum bought me crayons and I drew a horse. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your night.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Wait till you see me next book. I've done my life. The next book I'm writing is actually about Jim McCabe's life. It's called Drive By Jimmy. Where I make up a whole load of salacious, untrue allegations about how he's lived his life.
He's modelling it on that spy story. His version is called The Ape Who Came In From the Cold.
Yeah. How he slayed his first horse with his bare hands.
Anyway, if you haven't already pre-ordered PJ's book, do it. It's available for pre-sale. Actually, depending on when you're listening to this, it might even be on sale.
It's on pre-sale, yeah. It's definitely on pre-sale now.
It's on pre-sale now, but sure, depending. I mean, if you're
What
slow
day
to
is
the
it,
party,
20th? No.
you might be... 3rd of November is the official release date, by the way. Make sure you get your hands
on it. In fact, the rating of some of you listen to these podcasts is probably out of print.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I've read it, and it's absolutely brilliant. And as much as it pains me to say that, it is absolutely brilliant.
Well, he says that. He was saying that for a while now.
An eye-opener.
And then he got to about chapter 22 and he stopped reading it.
The only thing I will say is, right, I am saying that, right, as a man who was actually ridiculed in the book. Like, I've been ridiculed in the book.
How?
Literally.
At what point?
I don't have it in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing. But let's just say it goes along the lines of Jim McCabe, the king of small talk, a man who can say nothing about nothing.
Yes.
That's the quote. Now, not verbatim, but something like that. And also a kicking about being old. Jim's older than me. He's of that generation that can say nothing. He's the king of small talk.
Yes.
He says nothing about nothing.
I left out.
Ridiculed.
I actually forgot to finish the sentence. I meant to say he says nothing about nothing to nothing every day for 4 hours.
So even as a man that has received a verbal kicking, I can say it's still a very good book, apart from that bit. But anyway.
Jim, I didn't mean to upset you.
Didn't mean to point out the truth.
No, I did. That was a terrible thing to say. I should have said you were older than the trees that were used to make the paper. But I thought you wouldn't like it.
You're right, you drew the line.
Yeah, I drew the line. I'm sorry.
Right, listen, let's give you a few of the bits from during the week, because we had good crack during the week. Speaking of genres of book and stuff like that, obviously we said true crime was huge, but we broke a potential true crime phenomenon during the week. The first ever Lou Dunnett. Lou Dunnett?
Yes, we did. Here is our next book, actually.
This is going to be our next Netflix special.
Yeah, this is happening.
So you want to check that out. Also, surprise, surprise, Jim got a kicking during the week just because he's a man who appreciates a very good home, utensil.
Well, much like some of the greatest artists of our time, there's a fine line between genius and demented.
Look, all I'd say is if you're fond of a quality home appliance, you may share this with me. That's on the way. Also, there was the life of a famous artist. It never runs smooth, And PJ Gallagher, despite his immense celebrity and fame, can sometimes get confused for other people in the world.
Yeah.
For example, prisoners. So that there was that story.
So, this is not a story about somebody with rugged goods looks. I can tell you that much.
And also then holidays, which is something that I think we both desperately need but can't currently take. Holidays cropped up during the week as well, but not from the point of view of just kind of lovely sun and blah 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 blah. It's the lies, PJ.
The lies.
The lies.
Oh yeah. It's not how good the holiday was. It's how good we want the holiday to sound.
Yeah.
Is what's important.
And if it isn't that good, we just make it up.
We just say it was.
Anyway, have a listen. We'll talk to you the other side.
GloryDaze. It's the very best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
We've been waiting. Me and Jim, we love podcasts. We've been waiting to find the perfect case that we can research and bring to the people. And we want to do the series. This is
what area would we have the most expertise in?
We are the best when it comes to toilet juvenile humour. And we are going to make the first ever podcast. Lou Dunnett is what we're going to do. Here's the story.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night during the week, a racetrack in England, quiet and peaceful, 3 days after an event, completely isolated. An unknown van and truck appears. They rob. How many of them? Hold on. 35 Portaloos. 35 Portaloos go missing. Worth an estimated 1,000 English units of currency each.
Pounds, maybe.
Pounds would be a good version of it in this day and age. They all disappear into the night. A Ford Transit van then came back.
35 Portaloos.
35 Portaloos.
That's a big van.
Isn't it?
Well, you couldn't get them in a van.
No, the transit van came back at the end, relocked the gate to avoid suspicion, which bought the thieves 3 days of time, as the people who owned it didn't go into the racetrack. They just merely looked at the gate on their commute. to see that everything looked as normal.
So
Kieran then discovered he was his family are away on a holiday in Cyprus. They said they are absolutely devastated. One thing they can't understand is how at least 14 of the cubicles were still full of poop, and they still took them anyway. So we have 14.
Not only have they've stolen somebody else's.
Yeah, so
they've literally stolen somebody else's.
35 were locked and unused. 14 full of poop after the event.
Oh my God!
They are gone too. So the question is this:
did
they want the poop or the Portaloo? Who will be buying what? How do you dispose and into the criminal network? Do you get rid of a Portaloo?
Do you have to have two separate fences for that? Two separate contacts. Somebody to fence your stolen Portaloos and somebody to fence your stolen.
Yeah. You never know. And the thing is, remember, the way you'd watch Garda Patrol back in the day, and they'd say jewellery was robbed from a woman there now whose house was burgled. If anybody is offering you jewellery in an unusual circumstance, please call the Gardaí. It'll now be like, if anyone is offering you used Portaloo semi-filled with poop, please call the local Gardaí and let us know. So there might be that.
So, I mean,
and where do they go?
I assume it's
be lads and alleys and all. Here, you want a slash? They'll be charging you a tenner for a slash.
Oh yeah.
They'll be there. Yeah. I have a Portaloo down here.
So you'd be walking home some night or whatever, and you suddenly realise, oh my God, I should have gone. And somebody would just jump over and alley go, I can look after you.
Yeah, number one or number two.
What do you need?
20 quid for a big one, tenner for a small one. Down the end of the lane. I've just had it valeted. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
35 Portaloos.
35 Portaloos gone missing. So the podcast of the century is
the
about to happen.
intention must be to set to. I mean,
it must be
because to be fair, I assume it's a relatively limited market.
You would imagine so.
In terms of if you're going to flog Portaloos.
And a Portaloo world is a small one. Everybody who's involved in Portaloos knows each other.
I would have thought so.
It's not like you can just knock up the next Portaloo place and come out of the blue.
And they know each other.
And they know each other. They've got them all branded and everything. They have their own marks and stuff like that. Like the same way farmers do with sheep. You'd spray one of them would get a pink spot on the head, and you'd know that was Jimmy's. And then another one would have a blue spot, and that'd be Derek's or whatever. The Portaloos would be the same. So,
mind you were saying to me
they'll have to service them. They'll have to chop and chop them.
It is going to tell you something. It's going to be. It'll be interesting. It'd be harder to shift than high art trying to shift. A stolen Portaloo, won't it?
Oh, will do.
The channels for that aren't. They're not ready.
They're not very open. But there is another one. Like this, we're not the first to do this. There is a fantastic podcast made by an Australian woman, and it's called Who. The SH on the floor at my wedding, and they are all on a boat.
What was it?
Yes, that's the name of the podcast.
Somebody did a
podcast. Yeah.
No, somebody did at somebody's wedding
on the floor of a wedding. They did, yeah. And what a mystery that needed to be solved. So the two people that got married got together and made a podcast, and it's about who left it on the floor.
How could you not see somebody doing? It was a wedding.
Well, not only does the poop, but the plot thickens too, Jim, because they were on a boat when it happened. So there is an isolated audience. It wasn't an intruder or someone from the christening next door, or maybe a randomer came in from the bar. So they do know the person who did it.
Wow!
It's the world's first poo done it. Ours will be the second, but it's out there.
I just realised I was involved in a poo done it once.
Were you?
Because we went to a lad's birthday down and around Athlone. We went to a lad's birthday, and at it, right, it was the pub that it was in had it was in these pubs where the house was attached.
Yeah.
And apparently at some stage in the evening, somebody did go into the house and did do that in the middle of one of the rooms.
My God, this is your third case. You're literally Inspector Pousseau.
I am. And the thing about it was, luckily for me, we were ruled out because the lad who owned the place looked at it and said, well, it definitely wasn't a Guinness shit.
Yeah.
So we were ruled out.
Yeah, no, definitely wasn't Jim. It would have been much bigger.
GloryDaze. The best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
With InsureMyVan.ie, the van insurance specialists. See how much you can save at InsureMyVan.ie.
73% of people, they say, lie about their holidays, point blank to your face. People exaggerate about where they've gone. Like one woman in this survey here says that she was caught out because she was apparently down in the south of France, where she, believe it or not, met Robbie Williams and they kissed. Turns out she got off with a lad called Robert in Wales. She never even went to France. She was in Wales. Another 43...
How did they discover that, by the way?
She was caught out, yeah.
Oh, was she?
She did one of those stupid old-fashioned things where you know, you get a postcard from France and you send it back, and then there's the Welsh postage stamp on it.
Oh my God!
She got, you know,
she wanted to pretend she was going to France.
She was harping on. You won't believe it. I was walking around Bordeaux or something like that it was called, and I met Robbie Williams. Well, just the maddest thing, you know. I was
and
chatting
he just
to him and all.
gave me a kiss. Did
He says, "I love your music." He says, "Next thing we're doing Frenchies and all." Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Is that the type of lies people tell? Who they met or what
well, that's a whopper.
Or where they went, I suppose.
That's a whopper. People do lie about where they went. People lie about what the temperature was. They always add a few degrees because they get jealous,
That's true as
of
well.
talking to other people.
I've noticed that.
Really?
I've noticed that. Sometimes even with people you're with, where you know what I mean? You know, because you were there.
Yeah.
You know that it was like, you know, whatever it was, 24 degrees.
Well, there you
and
go.
somebody's going, oh my God, it must have been hitting 30 some days.
30 some days, 31, 32, something like that. And then their missus turns around and goes, it was 21 the entire time. Oh, I don't know where you were, but it was, you know,
yeah.
You get caught out. And then other people, they boast about the amount of free stuff they got, or the fact that they were up all night of 17 nights in a row, never even went to bed.
Yeah.
I took off my loafer and I was there. There was a timestamp and all in it. It was unbelievable. It was the best thing, best holiday I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then you talk to the other
and
half
they tell you
and say,
about the other one as
he
well.
was in bed at 9 o'clock every night.
You know the way a lot of sun holiday hotels, there's a sort of a buffet arrangement or whatever, you know, for your breakfast and and maybe if you're doing whatever your board thing is, you know, whatever. So your dinner or whatever. And the amount of people who'll make that sound like it was Michelin star. The best day, like, you know, and you've been there yourself, you know. Look, it's grand.
Yeah, I was down there. It's a 3-star hotel. A 3-star hotel in Spain. He goes, you're not going to believe it. We came down. Do you know your man? Gordon Ramsay was there cooking. He was cooking. He was doing the omelettes. He was at the omelette counter.
And
I'm not even joking.
That and the price. I was only, I'll tell you. Cost me
how much?
Cost me 50 quid a night, and I swear to God, you could eat everything, and drink was free.
And it was all hours of the day. At one time, I said, you couldn't get me milk from a virgin goat. You know what happened? The fire brigade arrived with it for me. That's how they have to get it to you. It's the rule. It's the rule of Spain.
Now that you mention it, that does all fall into place.
Absolute
Holiday lies.
Holiday lies. And then there's a big proportion of liars. Well, 1 in 12. So that whatever
big enough
percentage that is say that they've lied about their holiday that they weren't even on. So they were sitting around where lads were going, I was in Turkey, and then you might turn around and say, I was there, but he was in Gumbel or whatever years ago, really enjoyed it. And then another fella might say, it's 20 years, but I actually have to say I loved it. And then the fourth fella or the fifth fella will just go, I wasn't mad about it. And he's never been. He's never been.
Yeah.
He just has to fit in.
It's like that thing about, you know, when you know that somebody hasn't seen something or read something and you go, and what was your favourite part?
What was your favourite part?
The bit in the middle.
At the end.
What happened in the middle?
There, yeah.
After the thing.
You know the one,
After you get the start.
After he kissed your one and the bomb blew out of the end of the movie. Obviously, that was the best bit.
GloryDaze. It's the very best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
Might be a day for the indoors.
Oh, it
Might
is
be a day for a little bit of domestic.
Come here.
Bit of domestic work, PJ.
Yeah,
Might be the perfect day for you to go home and, you know, especially with you having new responsibilities now, you know, maybe give the place a bit of a, well, it wouldn't be a spring clean now.
I live a relatively decent life, Jim. I would hate to say, I don't know what you're suggesting. What sort of dirty habits people have?
I mean, you did say, in fairness, you did say that Kelly is a clean queen.
She is,
She cleans everything. Which means there's very little left for you to do.
She won't leave anything for me.
It's extraordinary how you've coupled yourself up with people who insist on doing the lion's share of work, isn't it?
No, I haven't actually. Crackpots. I unfortunately keep meeting crackpots with weird addictions. And this is you. And there's another one on the paper today. Another absolute crackpot. Look at this. Cassia Delgado. She says, I'm not proud of what I'm about to say. I'm not proud of what I've done. I can't keep it to myself any longer. I've done something terrible. I've done something embarrassing, and I've done something tragic.
This sounds nasty.
I've fallen in love with a handheld condensation vacuum. That's what she says.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What did you say there?
I've fallen in love with a handheld condensation vacuum.
There's something called a condensation vacuum.
There you go. See, here he is, another crackpot. He's going to be all onto the videos. He'll be on the YouTube all night now. Condensation vacuum.
What do you mean by a condensation vacuum?
How does this work? You mean I can have clear windows no matter what the heat indoors? Yeah, it'll be all this way.
There's somebody out there who vacuums their condensation.
Yes, she's fallen in. She says she thought it was a cult when she got into it initially because people couldn't possibly rave this much about a household object, a household implement, a device that's there to make life slightly easier when all it is another piece of tat. But then, of course, the only man I know who's fallen in love with a Dyson is right here in this room. The only man I know who has grass-cutting overalls and hoovering gloves.
I do not have grass-cutting overalls or vacuuming gloves.
He has hoovering gloves and all. He does, yeah.
But no, don't get off the subject here. Tell me more about your magical condensation vacuum. Seriously, people actually look at condensation like it's dust and think, well, I'm going to have to clean that up.
She thought it was kind of annoying her. She thought, is there a device, I wonder, that can do that so we can have clear windows constantly throughout the year? And she thought, well, maybe...
What's wrong with a cloth?
Well, this is it. She did Google special cloths, didn't she?
I didn't even mean a special cloth.
You don't just fall in love with the first thing that comes along, you know.
Or a squeegee thing. What do you call them thing?
Well, you see, this is it. This what she did next. This is... I mean, you can literally see Jim's descent into condensation convenience culture happening as we speak, because she did all these things and then she realised as she was using them that this thing, it kept coming up. This ridiculous thing kept coming up.
Well, you say ridiculous, but Clint has just sent me something from Danielle, who I think may be a follower. Hang on a second.
Oh, yeah?
Morning, boys. Here, don't be dissing the condensation vacuum. It's a lifesaver. Plug it in, charge it up, and then in the morning, get rid of all that moisture. Have a good day.
Wow.
This is the world we're in now.
Danielle, you sound like a fairly sound person. I'm prepared to take your word for it.
This is
I obviously need a
enablers.
condensation
You're
vacuum.
two enablers, the both of you, enabling each other in this unhealthy
Danielle
thing.
saying it, hoover up all that moisture.
She literally made the noise. It's like when you catch Jim doing Hoover impressions on his own. Oh. You know?
Wow.
It's called the Karcher, by the way. If anybody is interested, it's called the Karcher.
Like the people who make the power washers. Well, it's got to be good.
How does he even know that?
Everybody knows a Karcher power washer.
Everybody knows. I certainly didn't know a Karcher power washer.
Actually, just hang on a second, right? As much as I have to, allow myself to be ridiculed about the fact that I do love a good household appliance.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man sitting across from me who's doing the ridiculing, by the way.
Yeah, what about
has fallen in love, and that is not too strong an expression, has fallen in love with his air fryer.
Do you know what you're doing there? You're comparing hash with heroin. This is a complete... yes, okay, grand.
Have you not literally sat outside, even in the office here, and spoken of your love for your air fryer?
I may have an unhealthy addiction to an air fryer. I may...
He literally dreams up stuff.
Okay.
What could I put in it? He's getting to the stage now. We wonder what ice cream would be like in it.
Okay, well, I'll admit I have a problem, unlike you, right? Do you know when I knew I had a problem?
When?
Kelly booked in there a few weeks ago that she was going to go out to see a gig in a few weeks. You have to book in now because there's 2 kids and all, you know?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
So she was there, I'm going to go out. And straight away I thought to myself, amazing. I wrote it into the calendar. She's going out that day. Going to get a couple of cans in. Try some new stuff in the air fryer. I was thinking, mad night in.
It's gone, man.
Meatballs. Was there meatballs? I'm going to do meatballs.
Do you want me to get you a set of hoovering gloves?
Was there? Them kids better not wake up in the middle of the air fryer cycle.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll get you a condensation hoover for Christmas, will I?
They don't do a ninja hash by any chance. I could wear
air fryer overalls.
Yeah.
That's PJ's next.
Air fryer overalls. Be able to do me kung fu moves while I'm waiting for me ninja to do the meatballs.
GloryDaze. The best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
With InsureMyVan.ie, the van insurance specialists. See how much you can save at InsureMyVan.ie.
Anto's just WhatsApped in, right? He sent us in, it's a picture from Lad Bible of a lad who apparently has bought a house, a 6-bed house in Bulgaria for only £3,000. It's a UK lad, because he got frustrated with house prices. Now, that's the gist of the story, but it's what Anto has sent in, which is, Jim, I thought PJ was after buying a 6-bedroomed house there for a minute. It's his double.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry, but there's
honestly,
that's very harsh on you.
I don't want to be size
phobic
or anything, but Jay,
passing resemblance.
I may have put on a few pounds over the last while, but
I don't see any of the. I'm
I
not
see
sure
what he means.
Anto was. Do you? I don't see what Anto's saying there.
I see what he means. I do have a head that...
You're always getting confused for other... Everybody seems to think that there's millions of people who you look like
because
or look
there
like
is.
you.
And not nice people. All unsavoury characters, you know.
Well, I mean, this chap all he did was buy a house, PJ. Nothing wrong with that. And got a very good deal by the sound of it.
I was in Chopped Salad Bar one day, right?
Yeah.
I was standing in Chopped Salad Bar. I'm going to tell you 2 stories. I was in Chopped Salad Bar. This is a while back now. And the guy came in and looked at me and he went, you know, like that sort of instant recognition thing. That,
yeah.
You know. And I was like, I waved and he goes, oh, and then he came over and he goes, I do know your face. You're not who I thought you were. He goes, I thought you were Fat Freddie Thompson, the gangster, he said. And yesterday, I was walking to a book awards thing, right?
Yeah.
Delighted with myself. I mean, I was feeling pretty good because I knew I was getting nominated in the book awards. So I'll be honest with you, I was kind of feeling happy
You
about
allowed
it.
your ego to rise.
So I'm walking down the Greenway in the lashings of rain, there it was, up on North Strand, heading towards the venue. And a woman and a fella, they had lashings rain now as well.
Yeah.
They stopped me and she goes, look who it is. And your man looks at me and goes, well, we in Wheatfield prison together, he said. And
that is so good. He assumed you were a fellow prisoner.
Yeah, and I
That's
said,
where
no,
he recognised you from.
And she, in fairness, goes, he hasn't been to prison, or whatever.
Well, I mean, you say that.
And and he goes, oh yeah. So he did recognise the familiarity.
Right.
But his immediate thing was,
you must have been a
head
fellow.
on him, we were definitely in jail together.
You were in Wheatfield prison with
Yeah,
him.
the two of us, yeah, we've...
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And they say crime doesn't pay.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
The man with the head of a criminal
Yeah,
has been so successful in his life.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind only I was wearing a Canada Goose. No, it was a fake one, but I was wearing it.
But that's not the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Wow. So so even criminality, you're constantly associated with criminality, not just like it used to be Louis Walsh. And I can't remember some of the
It
other
used to
ones.
be Louis Walsh, and stuff like that. It used to be, I can't remember either.
Some would argue Louis is guilty of
David Gray.
crimes against music.
Yeah.
But leaving that aside.
Well, all true, isn't it? So Louis Walsh and David Gray I used to get. But now as I'm getting older, it's notorious gangsters and prisoners, you know. There you go.
But you see,
Shows
to be fair...
So when people ask me, you know, what would you be doing if you weren't in radio? Well, actually, I have an answer to that, yeah. Time.
That is true, actually. I remember you saying that at the start of the Young Offenders movie when we were at the launch of it. I remember you standing up and saying, I probably would have been inside.
I probably would have been, yeah. You know, statistically.
But listen, the only thing I will say for you is, if there is criminality associated with you, wrongly, of course, because this man is above reproach, but if you do happen to resemble people who spend time in prisons or might be associated with, at least it's a lovable rogue. There's that off you. You know, you have more the lovable rogue. The kind of, almost like, you know, the kind of criminal you'd root for.
Basically,
the kind of ones,
dumb criminals. Basically, that's what he's saying. Stupid criminals.
You know
That's what he means.
You know the way sometimes we end up always having like there's occasions, normally you root for the good guy, but there are occasions where you root for the criminal involved. Like the great train robbers or the...
Or the guy in Poland this week who walked into a Polish clothes shop. Do you see this guy? Or like a department store. And he jumped into the window and just stopped moving and pretended he was a mannequin.
Right.
And he just stopped and stood in the window display for hours. And they eventually closed the shop. And he jumped down and robbed a whole load of clothes and watches and stuff and escaped.
Nobody saw him jumping in.
No.
So they assumed he was a genuine mannequin.
They just thought he was a genuine part of the window display.
And he stood for hours.
So,
there you go.
They closed up the shop.
In my opinion, that lad deserves to get away with it. That's dedication. That lad deserves it. If he's dragged up in front of a judge, the judge should say, do you know something? In fairness to you.
You worked for it.
Keep it all.
You worked for it.
Keep it all.
And what about the guy in Spain who was done yesterday? So he had 43 free meals, right? So he went into a restaurant, posed as a Russian tourist who couldn't speak Spanish, and then he asked for the bill, and as soon as the bill came, he went, "Ah!" and fell off his chair and said he was having a heart attack. 43 times he did it.
In what space of time?
In a month. And the only time Ray got caught was he forgot what restaurants he was going to, and he went back to the same one 3 times. 3 heart attacks.
Wow.
Yeah. He's not as glamorous, is he? Yeah.
No.
You know,
and, you know, You're asking.
He basically called an ambulance every time and he'd get taken out in the ambulance.
So he even blagged himself a lift home.
Well,
Surely the ambulance took him to a hospital.
Imagine on the ambulance. As soon as the ambulance pulls out, I'm not feeling too bad. Could you just bring me back to North Strand?
Glory Days. The best of Morning Glory with PJ and Jim on Radio Nova.
With InsureMyVan.ie, the van insurance specialists. See how much you can save at InsureMyVan.ie.
There you go. A few samples of bits and pieces, some of the best bits from during the week. Although I always feel weird saying best bits. Makes it sound as though kind of,
all your bits are shite.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. I will say it's a very arduous process to get to the bottom of the best. You know, there's a jury and everything. Much like the shortlisting for,
your award-winning
awards
book.
ceremony.
Your award-winning book, yeah. Because that's the thing.
And sometimes we don't always get it right. You know, sometimes we pick the wrong bits. Much like we weren't picked as the best breakfast show in the radio awards.
That's true.
People do make mistakes.
Well, that is true. And then the thing about it is, one man's best bit is another man's. What in the name of Jesus was that?
What in the name of God have I just heard?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So who's to say what truly is the best?
Who is to say?
Although PJ's book, with the exception of the ridiculing of my fine self, is one of the best books out there at the moment if you haven't already pre-ordered it. It's about to be award-winning. So if I was you, I'd get in there so that you can boast to your mates that you got it before it won awards.
Do you know what Jim is doing? He's treating this book as in the way most Christians treat the Bible. It's like they say it's the best book ever, but they've never actually read it. You know,
I literally quoted.
It's on the shelf.
I literally quoted to you from
it.
Yeah.
Well, you have your favourite passages, you've heard the gospel the odd time and a few bits and pieces. You know what Genesis is about now.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the book of FSCCs, you're like, oh yeah,
that's what I should have done.
I don't really know that.
That quote about me saying nothing about nothing, I should have been able to say to you. I refer you to chapter 21, page 14, paragraph 3, line 2.
Yeah, where you say, Jim McCabe. Yeah. Not that I'm getting upset about anything.
No.
But I've highlighted a few paragraphs here I'd like to go through with you.
If I ever get asked to review the book, that's what I'm going to say. Very good. With a small exception of chapter 22, page 14, paragraph 3, line 6.
Yeah, but I don't want to go on about it now because my solicitor's writing a letter over it.
You've been listening to Glory Days, the best of Radio Nova's Morning Glory with PJ and Jim. Catch the show live weekdays 6 to 10 on FM, online at nova.ie, or on the Nova app.